Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome to a new episode of the SAIGON podcast. This time we have Kute Blackson, the best-selling author of the books You Are the One and The Magic of Surrender. I found his book about 3 weeks ago and it just hit me somewhere really deep. In his book, he argues that life or the universe or God has a bigger plan for your life than you can even imagine. So if that is the case, then it makes sense to surrender to the flow of life to see what blossoms out of it. This would, of course, mean letting go of whatever life you were trying to create before and trusting the flow to take you where you're supposed to be going. Do you dare to surrender? Do you dare to trust the flow of life? I would love to know your thoughts on his book, The Magic of Surrender. The Magic of Surrender is a book that has resonated very deeply with myself and my friends, so I'm very thankful to have come across it.
Hello, hello.
Gosh, hello Kute.
How are you?
Hey man, how's it going?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you perfect.
Okay. Sorry about that. We had a little mix-up with our links.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, I updated my Zoom after we scheduled.
Okay.
Yeah, and then it changed the link. Yeah, sorry.
No problem. No problem. All right, man.
Wow. How's it going?
Good.
Where are you right now?
I'm in Houston.
Houston. Wow. Oh, also my girlfriend is here. She's listening to our conversation and taking
Sounds
some
great.
notes,
Sounds great.
trying something non-AI right now.
Ah, nice, nice.
Yeah. So um yeah, I didn't plan anything because I read the book about surrender. And after we booked our conversation, my first instinct was let me make some questions for Kute. But then this other thing is telling me like, but why?
Sure. Let's go. Let's go. I'm here to add value. Take it wherever you want. I like the conversations to not be scripted and just be natural. So you take it away. Okay.
Perfect.
I blocked out 1 hour, so I need to be off. It's 10:07, so I need to be off at 11, right at 11 my time. Okay.
That's perfect.
When will the interview be live?
Yeah, let's see. I can have it up by yeah, so in 2 days I can have it up on
Okay, no
YouTube
problem.
and
I would
Spotify.
just love to give a link at the end to the audience. So just at the end, I'd love to give a link out.
Sure. And actually I started recording already. I don't know if that's so random to do.
It's fine. I would love to just give a link at the end.
Awesome. Yeah, just now you said for me to talk and for me to let it flow somewhere, but I wonder like is there something else that is gonna lead the conversation?
What do you mean? Is there something else that's going to lead the conversation?
Something that you learned in India.
Something that I learned in India?
Yes.
I learned many things in India.
Can you tell me about the teachers that you met?
Which teacher specifically?
There was one that you
Because there's many.
mentioned. Yeah, there was one that
There's
you mentioned
many.
by name. I believe it Ganguly.
Uh-huh.
How did you even find
Yeah,
these
look,
teachers?
I mean, I think I've been on a quest my whole life in search of answers. And I've been asking the questions, who am I? Why am I here? What is the purpose of my life? I think until as human beings, we explore these questions, we're not truly living. Many of us, we are caught up in survival or we're caught up in the matrix. And the moment that we're born, the programming begins. We're born to our parents. We're born into a life. We're born into generational patterns that have been passed down from our grandparents. And there's a whole momentum that we're born into, karma and dysfunction and abuse and life and society. And based on the environment we are born into, the process of conditioning begins. We start getting conditioned from the moment we're born, depending on our parents, depending on mom. Maybe dad is crazy. Maybe mom's an alcoholic. Maybe they were good people, but they had stress and challenges, or they were emotionally unavailable in some way, or they were just gone and they were just working, or dad was gone, or there was divorce. And so usually there's all sorts of scenarios and situations that begin to affect our perception, our thought process, our life, right? And so then from that moment, we go to school. So our parents start shaping us, and then we go to school, our teachers start shaping us, the education system starts to, shall we say, indoctrinate us. And much of the education system is like a factory that programs us in terms of what to believe and memorize and learn and then pump us into the world. And then there's religion, which teaches us what to believe and what not to believe. And then now social media. And so the conditioning of the matrix starts from a very young age, often much of which begins to uh, disconnect us from who we really are, right? And I think there is a, shall we say, an investment in us not knowing who we really are. Because when you know who you truly are as uh, an expression of the divine, when you know who you truly are, then you connect to your true source of power. When you know who you truly are, you connect to your true essence. When you know who you truly are, um, you know that you're not just this limited physical body. You know that you're not just your name and your body and your nationality and your stories that you've made up about yourself. You know that what you are is so much more, your energy, your consciousness, you're a spark of the infinite, right? And so when you know who you truly are, you no longer live in fear. You're no longer afraid. When you don't know who you are, and you think you're just this body, this mind, this form, your stories, the stuff you were told by your parents when you were young, then I think uh, then we live in fear, right? Because then we are in ego. And so um, the conditioning process starts very young. And so until we begin to question, who am I? And why am I? And why do I believe what I believe? And what can I know for sure? Then I think many of us, we end up living conditioned lives. We end up living very limited. And so the process of conditioning starts very young. We are born free, so to speak. We are consciousness. We are light. We are energy. We are divine. We're born free. You look at a child, right? A child is free. A child will sing and they will dance, and we don't have the heartbreak and the pain, and we're not afraid and self-conscious. And a child will jump off the table and they have no fear. A child will go and hug you, they have no fear, until we get heartbroken, until our parents say, hey, don't do that, you can't do that. Hey, you be quiet, don't be loud, don't be this way, don't be that way. So slowly two things happen where we begin to lose our connection, our light, our full expression. The first thing, we begin uh, as a survival mechanism. We learn all sorts of strategies, and we learn all sorts of ways to disconnect in response to our environment, to disconnect and not feel. Maybe mom and dad are screaming all the time, and that's too painful. So, that feels unsafe. So we learn to shut down, disconnect, not feel. Because if I close my heart, disconnect, not feel, then I don't have to feel the craziness of what's going on around here, or dad is not around. And that hurts, but that doesn't feel good. That feels too sensitive because we're these young beings. And so we learn to shut down, disconnect, not feel, as a way to just not feel the pain of the loss or the absence of mom or dad. And so we erect all sorts of walls around our heart as a strategy to just function and survive, ultimately. And before you know it, we go through life kind of closed, kind of disconnected, and we learn how to suppress our emotions and feelings in order to just survive, in order to just make it through, and layer and layer and layer and layer and layer and layer of unfelt, unprocessed emotion. We suppress, begins to cover up our true authentic light, our true authentic essence, our true authentic consciousness and energy. And before you know it, the light of what we are is hidden underneath, the layers of unfelt feeling and emotion. And so we start getting conditioned. And then we learn all sorts of strategies to contort ourselves to become who we think we need to be in order to get love, validation, and approval. Oh, if I'm nice, then dad will love me. If I'm a good girl, then daddy will love me. If I get all A's, if I'm an achiever, if I'm quiet, if I'm so we develop a role, a mask, and a persona in order to get love, validation, and approval. Love, validation, and approval. And we do this unconsciously, so we contort ourselves into a shape to become the person we think we need to be in order to have someone, our caregivers, mom, dad, love us. And so now we become this person. We become responsible. We become kind. We become the caretaker. We become the nice guy. We become the fill in the blank. And we hold so tightly to this way of being. It's really a role, right? It's really a character that we've learned to play. We hold so tightly to this way of being that before you know it, we think that who we've become is who we are, not realizing that the version of ourselves that we've become is not who we really are. It's just what we've been conditioned to become, who we've been conditioned to be. So the degree to which we are conditioned is the degree to which you are not free. And most of us aren't conscious and aware. We just think, no, this is just this is who I am. I mean, how many times maybe have you got in an argument or couples get in an argument? It's like, this is just who I am. Yeah, but it's who you are, or is it just what you've been conditioned to be? And so we're not truly free. We don't have free will when we are stuck inside of our conditioning. And so for me, part of my journey and part of what I help people do, and part of my own journey has been a journey of questioning myself, a journey of looking at my conditioning from a young age, a journey of really having the courage to question who am I and what am I? And is this who I really am? And I think that's what drove me to India to go on a quest because I think many times the survival mechanisms that we've created that we become independent, we become whatever it is. Many of these survival mechanisms, they work for you when you're 5 and when you're 10 and when you're 12, but then you get into a relationship and you're 25 and then you're 35 and then you're 45 and then you're 55. It often stops working for you at that point. It starts limiting your full expression.
Hmm.
And so when I went to India, I was in a point where I felt like I things were stuck. I felt like things weren't working. I felt like um, I had reached the maximum of my ability to create the next level of my life. And so I think that many times we only change, we only shift, we only seek solutions or breakthroughs or help when we hit a point when we are stuck. Many times we're only willing to change when things break down. We're only willing to do something different and seek help when a relationship isn't working or ending, or we feel depressed, or we feel unhappy, or things aren't manifesting. And so uh, I had reached that point where I felt stuck in my life and things weren't working. And I threw my hands up and said, God, I don't know what to do anymore. And that's when I heard the voice, go to India. And it was in India that I met teachers, probably too many to talk about, but at a very young age, met many teachers. And I went from one to another, and somebody was saying, do this. The other saying, no, don't do that. Someone was saying, no, do this one. That's something, no, don't do any of that. So I got so confused. But there were a few teachers that I met that really helped me question. We must be, ultimately, you see, we have to be willing to question, who am I? Who am I? Who am I really? And I think it's scary for us to question who we are because we get so comfortable with the idea and the identity of who we've learned to become. And so surrender and letting go and questioning ourselves and change feels so scary because it feels like the unknown. Feels so scary because it feels uncomfortable. Feels so scary because to the old version of ourselves, it feels like a death. And so
Exactly.
when I went to India, I felt like I was dying. I felt like, oh my God, I'm dying, and the ego is really the version of ourselves that we mistakenly believe ourselves to be, based on the past, based on identity, based on memories, based on stories, based on belief systems. And the degree to which we hold on to that, that is ego. So ego, just to clarify, is not a thing. Ego is just a process of identification. It's the way we hold on to who we think we are. And the ego doesn't want to change. The ego wants you to change. The ego wants your girlfriend to change. Ego wants your parents to change. Ego wants your pet chihuahua to change. Ego wants the president to change. But the ego doesn't want to change because change for the ego feels like a death. And that's why sometimes shifting and changing and evolving and expanding can feel, or surrender can feel so hard, but uh, which is why we tend to resist it. And so when I went to India, I was in that place. But one thing that really helped me on my journey, that I would say all the teachers in some way, shape, or form pointed to, that I began to reflect on, and what I saw was, the thing that keeps us stuck on whatever level, stuck in money, stuck in abundance, stuck in relationships, stuck in manifestation, stuck in whatever it might be, are all the ways that we lie to ourselves. And so as human beings, we are constantly lying to ourselves about who we are, about what we feel, because maybe what we felt was not allowed when we were kids. Oh, you're crying. Wait, stop crying, Nick. Just grow up. Be a man. Girls don't. Boys don't cry, or girls should be seen and not heard. So we learn as children to suppress our feelings, to lie to ourselves about what we are feeling. And so I think one of the first steps to truly transforming that I really learned on my journey then, that I work with my clients, is there is no transformation without truth. The thing that keeps us stuck are all the lies that we're telling ourselves. And you cannot truly heal, transform, expand, evolve without truth. Many of us, we stay in relationships that we know deep down is not right. We know it, but we stay because it's familiar. We stay because it's comfortable. We stay out of guilt. We stay out of fear. And we wonder, why do I feel miserable? Right? Or we work jobs that we hate, knowing that this career, this path is not the right path for me. But we stay, again, out of scarcity, out of fear, out of survival. Right? To me, truth, real truth, this is real spirituality. This is real meditation. This is real yoga. Like, this is real prayer. Many people go to yoga class and they go to temples, like, hey, just start telling the truth. If you start telling yourself the real truth about who you are and what you feel and what's going on inside, your life will completely start transforming. So some questions people can sit with, that when I was on my journey in India, I started to sit with, was, number one, what lies am I telling myself? Just sitting with the question, what lies am I telling myself? As humans, we are constantly lying to ourselves. If we're honest, we're constantly lying. No, it's fine. No, it's okay. No, I don't really want that. No, this is not how I feel, when it's not true. So, what lies am I telling myself? What am I pretending to not know? What am I pretending to not know? Number three, what is it costing me? What is the lie that I'm telling myself? What is it costing me? And I think if we're willing to feel the truth, you don't even have to take action. So if you're listening, you can take the pressure off of yourself of having to take action. You don't have to take action. But if you just, because sometimes the fear of the consequence of the action is what creates a survival mechanism of confusion where we go, oh, I don't really know. I don't know. Should I stay? Should I? We know. We're just afraid. And so if you're in a relationship that you know is not right, you don't have to leave. Just tell yourself the truth. I am not in love anymore. Okay, feel that. It's scary. You don't have to make a decision, but just start feeling the truth. I hate my job. You don't have to leave your job, but just feel the truth. This is what begins transformation. This is what begins healing. This is what begins evolution. So, as you're listening, folks, what lies am I telling myself? The degree to which you tell yourself the truth about who you are and what you feel is the degree to which your life will start to transform. And that's what started for me in India.
Wow. So may I ask, what lies had you been telling yourself?
What's that?
I'm curious now to know in that time, like what lies had you been telling yourself?
Yeah, I was in a relationship that I knew wasn't quite right. I thought, but deep down, after 4 years, I knew it wasn't right. And I had to have the courage to speak about it. I had to have the courage to speak, to be honest with myself. I had to have the courage. I was so afraid of breaking up and losing what I thought was right that I wasn't telling myself the truth about the reality. And the reality was, this is not right. I'm not happy. I'm miserable. We're not compatible. But the thought of that, because in my mind I made up, oh, she's the one. But the reality of this is not working, and that was so scary for me to admit to myself. That was one. But that acknowledgement shifted everything, because I'd been keeping, based on that relationship, to not piss my girlfriend off at the time, I'd been keeping myself small. I'd been hiding my light. I was not being fully myself, right? All these things were connected just to that lie around the relationship. And so when I had the courage to tell myself the truth and then speak to her, we broke up. It shifted everything. And I made a decision that I would never compromise my truth again to be in relationship. I will never compromise my truth again to just make someone happy. I will never compromise my essence, my nature again to keep peace. Because if I don't have myself and I'm betraying myself, a relationship won't work anyway. If I don't have myself and I'm betraying myself and I can't be myself, life won't flow, life won't work. And so that decision changed my life.
Well, I'm curious now, how did you realize who you really are?
I think it's been a process, but I would say starting with the question, of looking at the lies I'm telling myself. That's where we have to start. That's how I began to realize, like, when you really start telling yourself the truth about what's real, that's when you start getting in touch with who you really are. And on a side note, I think many of us, we get conditioned to believe, oh, uh, because we make up stories about ourselves, right? I'm not enough. I'm not this. I'm not that. I'm not creative. I'm not good looking. I'm not intelligent. I'm unlovable. And all of those things are belief systems that we have made up about ourselves. I'm not creative. I'm not good at art. I'm unworthy of love. I am unlovable. None of those are true. None of those are the reality. The
Mm,
challenge is many of us, we live as though they are the reality.
mm,
And when we live as though I'm unlovable, nobody loves me, then we will tend to attract people let's say, in a relationship that treat us that way, right? Or we will look for situations where we're treated a certain way so that we can prove what we believe about ourselves true. See, you don't love me. You don't, yeah, it's not that that's the case. It's just we're kind of looking for that because
true.
that has become our identity. And we are unconsciously, constantly seeking to reinforce our identity, right? And so many of us, we don't realize that who we think we are is not who we really are. Who we think we are, that we believe ourselves to be, which is an illusion, is a collection of beliefs and ideas and memories that we hold on to. I'm unlovable. I'm not worthy. I'm not good looking. I'm not this. I'm not intelligent. None of that is reality. So we have to, how you find yourself is you have to be willing to question yourself. You have to be willing to question your reality. Who am I? Well, I'm unlovable. Is that true? Is it true? Yeah, it's true. Why? Because I just feel that way. Well, just because you feel something doesn't mean it's true.
Mm,
Yeah, but I feel it. Well, is it fact? Yes, it's fact. How, how is it fact? Because my mom left me and my girlfriend left me. Well, just because those events happened, that doesn't mean it's fact. Doesn't mean it's reality. And most of us are living inside of the beliefs that we have as though they are reality. Beliefs are not reality. Beliefs that we hold about ourselves, they are the interpretation and the meanings that you made up about an event that happened. So
mm,
there is an event that happened. Dad left. Okay, that really happened. But that doesn't mean I'm unlovable. So dad left. So we have to be willing to question, okay, dad did leave. Okay, dad left. What is the meaning, or what did I make that mean? Oh, I made that mean I'm unlovable. But does dad left mean I'm unlovable? Well, yeah, because if he loved me, then he wouldn't have left. No, not necessarily. So events happen. The problem happens where we make up an interpretation of that event and we assign a meaning to what that event means that is not necessarily the real meaning. We're just making up a meaning based on the limitation
mm,
of our maturity, our understanding, evolution at the moment. And many times we make up a meaning when we're five, when we're
mm.
seven.
Yeah.
And then we hold on to that belief about ourselves for the rest of our lives. I'm not enough. And we don't question it. Dad leaving, I'm just giving an example, right? Dad leaving doesn't mean I'm not enough. It just meant that dad left. So we have to be willing to ask ourselves, is I'm not enough fact or fiction? Because it's certainly not a fact. Fact is, this is a blue pen. Fact is, here is a silver gold watch. Fact is, here's a blue candle. This is fact. This is fact. This is a terrible blue candle. That's not fact, right? I'm a terrible person. That's not fact. So we have made meanings and interpretations about events that we've held onto as fact when in fact they're fiction.
Mm,
Nothing really means anything other than the meaning that we assign to things. And
mm,
so many of us, we don't realize that who we are is really the collection of what we have, the meanings that we've assigned to ourselves. So the freedom happens when you start questioning. Okay, you have to question your beliefs. I'm unworthy and I'm unlovable. Is this true? As in, is it fact? It's not fact. Yeah, but dad left. So, yeah. So you have to ask yourself, that event that happened, could it have meant anything else? You made it mean I'm unlovable. Yeah. But could it have meant something else? Yeah, it could have meant dad was crazy. Could have meant dad was emotionally challenged. Could have meant dad loved me so much that he didn't want to screw up my life and decided to exit. Could have meant so many things, but we have made it mean I'm unlovable. So when we can question what we have made events mean, we begin to free ourselves from the limitation
mm.
of the story, the identity that we've made up about ourselves. So, who are you really? I'm unworthy. I'm unlovable. No, that's not who you are really. That. That's not who you are really. Ultimately, okay. If you were let's just imagine you're walking down the street, you hit your head, you slipped, you hit your head, You went unconscious. Hope that never happens to anyone, but let's just play along with me. You go unconscious. You wake up in a hospital room somewhere. The doctor walks in. You have no idea who this person is. The doctor walks in and says, listen, good news and bad news. Which would you like first?
Damn. I'll say bad
Choose.
news.
Good, bad news. Bad news. Well, let me give you the good news first. Good news is your life. Good news is your life. You're not dead. Thank God you're alive. Okay. But you had an accident. Pretty bad, but you're alive. You're good. In that sense, you're good. Bad news is when you had this accident, you hit your head, you lost your memory completely. Your memory is gone forever. Your memory is gone.
Mm.
You're like, and the doctor says, well, what's your name? You look around like, you don't remember your name. What's your girlfriend's name?
What's a
You don't even
girlfriend?
remember. You don't even remember that you have a girlfriend. Oh, I have a girlfriend. I have no idea.
Mm.
Right? Let's say your girlfriend walks in the hospital room. You don't even know who the hell she is. You think are you the nurse? You have no idea. She's like, honey. And you're like, who are you? I have no. And so your memory is really gone, legitimately gone.
Mm.
So the doctor says, see, your memory's gone. Sorry to say. Good news, you're alive. Bad news, your memory's gone. The doctor says, hey, your name is Pedro. Your name is Pedro.
Mm.
You're like, okay. I mean, what could you say? Like, all right. You're Pedro, and your name is Pedro Pablo, and your religion is the religion of the monkeys. You belong to a very spiritual sect of the monk. You're a monkeyist, right? And you do these special monkey meditations, chanting monkey chants, and this very mystical, spiritual, monkey thing. And it's like this is your religion. Is that clear? This is what you are. And what would you say? Okay, all right, yeah. And you have a business and you make candles. Okay, all right. I mean, what could you say you would just say, okay. You see, in that hospital room, the doctor's telling you what your name is. Pedro, Pablo. What happened to Nick?
Mm.
Who the hell is Nick? What happened to a Nick? What is a Nick? Nick is gone.
Yeah.
You're Pedro Pablo in that moment, who's a
Mm.
monkeyist, who has a candle company, and it's like everything you have been told, and then you believe it. And then slowly you would start acting in accordance to what you've been told. Where is the you that you used to be so sure about? I'm this, I'm that, I'm this, I'm not this, I'm this, I'm that. Where is that you gone? It's gone.
It's uninstalled. It's just deleted.
It doesn't even exist. In that hospital room, what is the one thing you could know for sure? You can't be sure what your name is. You've been told what your name is.
Mm.
You can't be sure what religion you are. You've been told what religion you are.
Mm.
You've been told what to believe, right? So in that hospital room, what's the one thing you can know for sure?
Just that I'm conscious. I'm alive.
Yeah, you would just look around and go, well, I'm conscious. I'm conscious. I am. I guess I am here. I'm here. I guess I'm here.
I'm
I
in this
am
video
here,
game.
right? And you look around like you wouldn't even know, like, I am Nick, I am
Oh
Pedro.
yeah.
I am here. Where you don't
Mm.
even know where the hell you are. You could be in Tahiti. They're telling you you're in, Las Vegas, but you're into. Oh, okay. I am what? So anything you put after I am, I'm this, I'm that, I'm pretty, I'm ugly, I'm good, I'm da 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 da. It's just all ideas.
Mm.
It's just concepts that you are making up about yourself and choosing to believe.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing you could know for sure is I am. And so, how you find yourself is you have to be willing to lose yourself to find yourself. You have to be willing to let go of who you think you are so that you can see who the you is that remains. You have to be willing to question everything about yourself to see what's not true so that you can come to a deeper reality of what is true about you. It's like, who am I? Wow, I was told that. Do I even believe that? Do I even can I know that for sure? And when you question and you let go of all the labels, all the BS, all the belief systems, all the nonsense, then you can start seeing what remains. What remains? What remains? And that's, I would say, where the freedom lies, beyond an idea, but more as an experience.
Mm. That's what I want to see, what remains. And actually, the question I've been asking myself today and yesterday, just by coincidence or maybe not, is who am I?
Question.
Like to tell you a little bit about myself, like I'm living like a regular 9 to 5 day job, doing like the thing that the mainstream life thing. At the same time, I realize that okay, like we're living in a world of stories and ideas and concepts, and I don't know who else to talk to about this. So thank you for having this conversation with me right now.
Nice.
And
Nice.
I feel like I have like 1 foot out of the concepts and 1 foot still stuck in the concepts. Like I'm observing myself, I'm observing my mind still reacting to concepts and being scared of being vulnerable.
Hmm.
And the other part of me is observing like, wow, this guy is this guy is really weird. Like, but not in a bad way, but
Ah,
it's like I'm watching my life like a movie.
sure.
I'm observing my life as I'm watching a movie. At the same time, I'm also playing the character. It's kind
Mhm.
of weird.
Nice.
Do you
Beautiful.
feel that do you feel that you have already set aside that character completely and now you're just watching the movie?
Uh, yeah, I mean, ultimately, I don't really believe in the character of myself as real, you know. I think I mean, not to get too far down a rabbit hole for now, but um, I think that you could say life manifests as the multiplicity of form. And so all of life is being played by the one intelligence. And all characters, you, me, Trump, Biden, Oprah, Bruce Lee, the list goes on. All characters are expressions of the one intelligence. So you could say this whole experience is kind of for me like a one-man show that is being played, all the characters being played by the one intelligence, you know. And we're often not aware of that, so we see and feel separation, and we think, oh, I'm separate from you when you're separate from me, but we're really one intelligence that, you know, the oneness is playing with various masks. And often it's only when we die that we wake up to the play behind the play or behind the curtain, and we're like, oh, you mean, wow, that was a good performance, right? Oh, I thought, wow, that was great. You know, my mom, my dad is like, wow. But then I think we'll wake up to it was just a one-man show. But when we're playing in the one-man show, we have to believe in the separate characters,
Hmm.
right? Otherwise, the play doesn't make sense. But when the one man is playing the different characters, he's got to believe in the different characters. So I think waking up is either you wake up when you pass and you die, and you wake up to the illusion of all of this, or while you're alive, You
Mm,
wake up to, oh, there's really only one of us here being
mm,
played by the one intelligence, the one consciousness. What's breathing me is breathing you, is breathing everything. And I think that's the surrender, and that's the deeper freedom that opens up. And when you realize, it's like, wow, we're being lived by life. We're being lived by the intelligence. We're being lived by consciousness. And I think that's the freedom, that's the power, that's the blessing.
mm. It's like half of me is saying like, yes, we're being lived by life. And the other half is saying like, I don't know though. How are you so sure? It's like a conflict.
Yeah, it's part of the process.
You mentioned, oh, we have about 15 minutes.
I have 10 minutes before
Oh,
I let you
10
go.
minutes. Okay, 10 minutes. You mentioned something that all of us are divine. How did you realize that?
I think in everything I've shared with you, really, it's been a process. It's not one moment. It's just been a gradual evolution and unfolding in everything I've shared with you. I remember having one experience when I was in India, and I had several experiences when I was in India, but one was particularly powerful because I would wake up. I was in Rishikesh, where the Ganges is, and I'd wake up every morning and I'd go running, and I'd run along the banks of the Ganges, and then I would come back and sit and meditate, and sometimes jump in the Ganges to bathe. And so one day I was running, I sat in front of the Ganges, and I remember just meditating on the waves, and the waves were crashing, and one wave crashed into another wave crashed into that wave, and all these separate waves were seemingly separate, but were crashing into each other. And it was just this flash of inner experience of feeling and sensing like we are really all one river, flowing from the same place, flowing to the same place, one river of humanity. Separate waves, seemingly, but connected by the water, but we are connected by the same intelligence. One wave over here, another wave over here, completely, seemingly separate waves, but when they crash into each other and they merge, where does one wave end? Where does one wave begin? And in that moment, it was just like this profound explosion of, not even an explosion, just melting rather of just realizing that we are all the damn river. We are all the river flowing. One ocean, one river, one substance, separate seeming waves, but not really separate, because that wave way over there is not really separate from that wave over there. It's just, and so it was just this, I felt myself dissolve, and I think in that dissolution, what remained was just the sense of love, because when the sense of separation dissolves from me and you, that sense of separation, what opens up is the inherent recognition, the recognition of the inherent oneness of being. And when we realize that, oh, I'm not separate, we're not separate, there's just one. Love, I would say, is not love in a romantic sense, just pure love is a natural unfolding, a feeling that arises. Love as an inherent unity is what arises. And so that was a profound moment of, you want to call it awakening, or, opening, or whatever label we want to put, but that was a real key moment of remembering, I would
Mm,
say. Just we're one, looks like we're separate, seems like we're separate, but one wave is not separate from another wave, and we are all waves in this ocean of life.
mm.
We are all waves in the ocean of the universe.
So we're the ocean talking to itself.
Yeah, you could say that.
There's something amazing about India. Even my girlfriend and I, we met in India during a
Oh,
trip
wow.
to, do you know Tamil Nadu in the south?
Tamil Nadu, yeah, I know Tamil Nadu. I've been
We
there.
went to the ashram of Ramana Maharshi in this town called Tiruvannamalai.
Yeah, Tiruvannamalai.
Have you been
I've
there
been
as well?
there. I have.
Wow, awesome. It's awesome to talk to you because I feel like you are living my dream life. So I feel like I'm getting like yeah, like a sneak preview of what that would look like, what that sounds like. Like I can
Nice,
hear it in the tone of your voice.
nice, nice,
And thank you
nice.
so much for writing the books that you write.
Yeah,
Oh, I have a question here from
yeah.
my girlfriend for you. Okay, we still have like 5 more minutes.
Yeah, let's take five.
Okay, great. So my girlfriend is asking, do you have any advice with realistic practice for the young people who are about to choose their major in university? Because
And do
they're
I have any
yeah, because
realistic advice?
usually
Yeah.
they are young, they're still discovering who they really are.
Wow, that sounds like a simple question, but it's actually not a simple question. Because uh let me take it from different perspectives. Now, you're talking to a guy who chose not to go to university. And so I have to sort of provide different levels of the answer to that seemingly simple question, but it's multi-layered. Because I chose to not go to university because I felt like life had more to teach me. I was a very good student growing up, and I got A's, 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 some B's, but a lot of A's. I worked very hard in school. And when I chose not to go to university, everybody was shocked. But I said, I think life has more to teach me than memorizing, because I felt like school, for the most part, was a factory that was training people and assessing success based on not your true wisdom or intelligence, but your ability to memorize information. And if you were able to memorize what they wanted you to memorize, then you would get a good grade and you have a degree. And yeah, okay, I guess memorization is beneficial, but memorization doesn't make you truly intelligent. I know a lot of people that have been to university that have no common sense and are freaking kind of stupid, in how I see them sort of respond to things. I'm like, you have a degree from a top university and you can't think through this problem, because university many times doesn't teach us how to think. It teaches us what to think and what to believe, but not how to think and how to question. And there's the challenge I had. And so uh, I would say that also, when I look at the rate of technology today and where AI is going and how technology is evolving, chances are the education system and old educational model will be completely outdated in 5, 10, 15 years. It will surprise me if the education system within 10, 15 years is the same, because now you can punch into AI. AI can basically write you an essay that is 90% brilliant with the right prompts. So, like, why do you need to study all of that when you can get everything right there, read it and synopsize it and have an understanding of it, right? So I think the way education is going to be evolving is going to transform tremendously. I don't know if people are going to be going into universities in the same way. Um, I do think that uh, I think that learning and the way we're teaching children needs to change. We need to create a new, and this is really answering the question, but I will get to it. I think we need to create a whole new way of teaching children, which is really about unteaching children so that we can keep and bring out the innate wisdom inside of each person. And I think when we can have environments that can bring out the innate wisdom inside of a human being, that I think will be truly valuable, because that will help to expand the consciousness of a human being, not just give them things to memorize, which doesn't expand the consciousness. Because what technology I think won't have is the evolutionary expansion of true consciousness. They might have information and intelligence, but not true emotional and spiritual evolution and consciousness. That is part of what will distinguish us. And so, like I remember going to school thinking, and I look back now, I left school at 18. There's almost nothing that I learned that I use today. Okay, how to do math, but you have a calculator. One plus one, two plus two, four plus four, six times six. Other than that, use a calculator. That there is so little that I learned in school that I use in my life today. Didn't teach me how to have relationships. Didn't teach me how to speak to my wife. Didn't teach me, how to raise a child. You think that we would learn how do you raise a child? Didn't teach me, well, what to do if I swallow something and I can't breathe, right? First aid. Didn't teach me how to fix a damn car. Didn't teach me, how do I manage my budget? How do I manage my finances? How do I build my credit? How do I buy a house? All the things that you kind of need in life? School didn't teach me any of this stuff. And so I think there needs to be, and I think for me, one of the most valuable experiences I had as a young person was traveling the world, not stuck in the room. Because it's when I traveled the world and I saw different cultures, went to India, went to Thailand, went to Vietnam, went to Brazil, went to, as a young person, as a young kid, went to America. It expanded my perception to see how the world is so big, how ultimately we are different, but we are really alike. That changed my life, And so I think in an age of AI, okay, if you're going to go, so with that said, I think I don't necessarily believe that university is necessary unless you maybe need, you're going into a specific profession where you need some specific skills like medicine. And, but even that is going to be changing with artificial intelligence and AI soon, with medicine and the evolution of AI-driven medicine and diagnostics. And I think it's going to revolutionize things. So I think that jobs are going to be, many jobs that people are studying for now are going to be obsolete. You can write emails, literally copywriting emails using AI, that copywriters and writers will become obsolete. Google just released, and I haven't checked it out yet, I think it's Google VEO, some sort of AI thing where you're able to now turn text into video. It's going to revolutionize the video creating film industry. And so if you're going to school now to study things that won't even exist in 5 to 10 years, you're screwed. And so I think that you have to look at where the world is going. If you're going to go to study, I would say, yeah, go study things like artificial intelligence, quantum computing, and be on the forefront of the evolution of technology. Because technology is evolving, even money. You look at things like money, right? Started off with bartering commodities, land, coins, notes, gold, metals, banking. Now, even money is evolving in its own sort of trajectory to technology, crypto, and so I think it's important, if you're going to go to university, to look at where the world is going. Look at this. Robots, humanoid robotics. It's inevitable that in 10, 20 years, everyone's going to have a damn robot in their house helping them. It's just where it's going, right? If you look at driverless cars, right? Soon, I think my children in 10, 15 years or 20 years will look back and go, you guys used to drive cars? You used to drive a car? Like, if you're a car driver, truck driver, these things are obsolete. So if you can look at where the world is going, and see how things are moving at such a rapid rate. And if you're going to study that so you can be ahead of, 10, 20 years ahead of where people are going. So when the technology adoption rate happens in 10, 15 years, you're already positioned at the curve. Anyway, those are some of my thoughts.
Awesome.
Hope that helped.
Thank you so much. I think, is it time for you to go?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Kute. I hope we can have you again soon. Or actually, I hope we can see you in Bali one of these times.
Sure. I'd love to give out a link so people can.
So you have retreats in Bali and India as well?
Yeah, I actually am not doing events in Bali anymore, but I'm creating some new events now. I'll be announcing them in a couple of months. So if people want to know more about my intensive transformational 8 to 12-day events, you can go to kuteblackson.com. In the next month or so, I'm going to be announcing some new events. So I'd love to meet everyone there. Meanwhile, I created a couple of things that I want to share with everyone for free. If you've been inspired in some way by today's session, I created a free masterclass, which is all about helping people. Like, how do we manifest in the world? How do we manifest in the world in alignment with our soul, right? In connection with our true essence. And so I created a free masterclass. It's a 45-minute intensive session that is jam-packed with information to help teach people the codes and the natural laws and the principles of manifesting. Like, how do you really turn the invisible into visible? So if you want to join the masterclass for free, simply go to www.manifestation masterclass online. That's manifestationmasterclassonline.com. Just connect there. Also, I created a course at the beginning of the year that I decided to give away to the world for free. It's 8 modules, 8 videos. It's called The 8 Levels of Gratitude. You can go to www.8, the number 8, 8levelsofgratitude.com, enter your name and your email to receive access to the free 8 video course that will transform your life. Been great connecting with everyone.
Awesome, beautiful. Thank you so much, Kute. Have a good day over there.